Yes, I am wearing the same clothes as the last video. I'm literally filming them back to back. So I watched this YouTube channel called Corridor Digital. And basically they're in the business of making viral videos using visual effects. So they put out a lot of action-packed and video game and pop culture oriented content, and they pack it full of visual effects and really cool scenery and stuff like that. The work they do is amazing. I've been following them for over a decade now. But their second channel, Corridor Crew, they really get into kind of the nitty-gritty details of what they do and how they do it. They explain the visual effects and they explain kind of the filmmaking process and everything that goes into it and the work behind it. And I have a lot of respect for this specific YouTube channel because they are constantly trying to solve problems that they have. A little problem will pop up and they'll try to solve it in a really efficient and cost-effective way, and I really respect that quite a lot. And there was this one problem they have. In general, they're very particular about muzzle flashes. They really think that Hollywood does a pretty bad job when it comes to doing good muzzle flashes, and they think they can do a better job.
In last week's VFX Artist React video, we talked about the muzzle flashes in John Wick and how they're not an accurate representation of real muzzle flashes. They serve the purpose of the movie, but I think we can improve them. I think we can make them better, because that's one of the things we do here at Corridor. Fake guns.
One of the tools they came up with for doing muzzle flashes is basically somebody on set with a fake gun can stand there and pull the trigger, and then a guy off camera, behind the camera, with a big LED light and a push button can push the button and trigger the light. And so as the guy on set is pulling the trigger, the guy with the light is pressing the button, and the whole point is you're going to represent a muzzle flash with the light. Very obviously from the onset, the guy pulling the trigger and the guy pressing the light aren't going to be synced up, and that becomes a huge problem in the video. They actually have to like cut out the light muzzle flash and put in their own visual one, completely defeating the purpose of the tool they made.
He's already pointed up at the ceiling, and yet there's still no light. Boom, there's the light. He's pointing at the ceiling when the actual light goes off. That's out of sync with the actual gunshot that we're gonna have to composite in.
And I'm sure if you like sync it up perfectly and you time things, like you can get the light to work. But instantly, as soon as I saw the video, I was like, why can't we just put the button in the gun? Right? The gun's fake anyway, it doesn't need to actually shoot or anything, so why don't we put the button in the gun? And so that's literally what I did. That's what, they have a problem, and I have a pretty good solution, and so I literally built the solution. Let me grab it. And so this is literally the contraption. Let me show you functioning here, and then I'll explain the components to it. So you literally pull the trigger on the gun and it activates the light. So effectively their tool, it's just the trigger is in the gun. And I used just a shitty Nerf gun because I didn't want to use one of my real guns, because those are more expensive than the Nerf gun. But as a proof of concept, it works perfectly. You pull the trigger, the light goes off. And so somebody can be standing behind camera, and you know, your action guy can be over here, and you can literally bang, 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 bang. There you go, you have a gun with a muzzle flash. So the basics of it are, these are just quick little LED lights. These are 12 volt LED lights that pop into these little connectors, so those are easily replaceable. Yep, easily replaceable. And then on the back here, we have a pretty simple wiring setup. This is, so the wiring, so we have wiring to the neutral over here and wiring to the positive over here. And then, what's the best way to describe this? So the meat of the project is this variable wireless relay that I have. So this relay can accept, I think everything ranging from like 3.5 volts to 12 volts, maybe even more or less. But basically, we've got 12 volts of batteries going into the relay. That powers the relay itself, and then that power gets dumped off to the lights. The actual remote control for the wireless relay I took apart and then put into the gun. I took the gun apart and took out most of the internal components, and then I added a push button switch to bypass the push button on the remote itself. And so literally the trigger, as it pulls back, just presses up against that push button, activating the remote. That's literally the only change I made to it. And so that remote activates the the relay switch here, letting the voltage through. And then this is just a quick little battery pack I made. This is a 3D printed little battery holder. And then these are just 18650 cells, charged up to 4 volts each. And those are literally just popped into place inside of the battery container. And let me tell you what, getting these little nickel tabs onto the battery connector was honestly the hardest part of this entire thing. Soldering those down and getting those to hook up properly was a real bitch. But once I got it going, it literally works flawlessly. You pull the trigger, the light goes off, and hopefully I'll have a little demonstration here. I haven't filmed it yet, and I'm not a great editor. But if I can pull it off, because again, the guys who make these, the video that I'm responding to, I guess, they make like educational content on how to be a filmmaker and how to be a visual effects artist per se. And so I've literally used their content to make my own videos, and I'm probably going to use their muzzle flash guide to make a quick little muzzle flash video here. But I haven't shot it yet and I haven't edited it yet, so I don't want to promise anything, so I'm gonna so no promises is what I'm trying to say. But I do have a nice little battery disconnect so that I can disconnect the battery directly from everything. And same situation in here. Or not the same situation in here. In here, the battery is literally taped to it and it needs to be retaped. But you shouldn't have to replace the battery in here at all, if ever. Like, the battery is pretty big for the amount of power that the remote itself is ever going to use. So replacing that battery is a long-term thing. But what I should say, and I guess my point of making this video, is I want to ship this out to Corridor Digital. By the time this video is up, I should have emailed them at their business email, and I'm going to tweet at them with this video. And hey, Corridor Digital, if you want me to ship this out to you, if you want to give this a try in one of your videos, I would love to see it put to the test, I guess, in an actual filmmaking environment. So reach back out to me if you are interested in receiving this thing, and I can even touch it up and make it fancier, I guess, for you. But this is definitely a prototype in every sense of the word.